Jessica from Cocoon here, and I am sitting on the campus of the University of Scents and Fragrances in Forcalquier, Provence, France. And behind me is a really old still that they would make essential oils in. It's just one of the fixtures on this on the campus grounds. So yeah, today was day 2 of studying perfume. And it was another amazing day of smelling and smelling and smelling and talking and coming up with the notes we were smelling. And it was wonderful. So we continued doing a lot of the essential oils and the natural fragrances. But we also got into some of the really popular synthetics that are used in the perfume industry today. And I found that really interesting because I don't work with synthetics. I'm, I have an aromatherapy background. I'm an essential oil person. Cocoon is all essential oils. I've never worked with fragrances at all. So it was kind of like a new thing and something I was really curious about. So it was so interesting, especially because there's different not grades, but different kinds of synthetics. There's like 3 different synthetics. One is when they take essential oils and they rectify them and they pull what they need out of those essential oils. So a good example of that would be vanillin, which was the second synthetic that was discovered in 1898. The first one was 1868. And that was coumarin. So the second one was vanillin. That was 1896, I believe. And everyone knows that smell. It's that sweet vanilla smell that a lot of people love. And that actually, believe it or not, you can get that from cloves, because they take clove and they pull out the eugenol, and from eugenol they pull out the vanillin. So, when you smell clove, you do kind of get a hint of vanilla in it. There's some kind of sweetness. So that was really interesting. And then so you can do that. You can make a vanillin from clove, or you can produce a nature identical vanillin from benzene, petro, which probably is what most of the industry is full of, is the petro, because petro is way cheaper than clove leaves, right? So unless you're like a company that demands a plant-based version of this chemical, it's probably petro. And then there's the third kind, and that is the not in nature synthetics. So this kind of synthetic I'm not that fond of, and the reason why is because, yes, it smells. I can imagine when they discovered these fragrances, they were like, wow. Think about that real ocean smell, that real marine smell that you can get, really popular in like the 90s. I'd say like Eternity, like that really, what is that, like just salty, marine, fresh, airy smell. So when people discovered these smells, they would have been like blown away. And I guess I just take it for granted that these smells are out there, but they actually are fun. I find them very irritating, and even while I was smelling them today, my body just kind of didn't respond well to them. When I was smelling them, I started getting irritated under my nose. I got a bit of a headache. My heart started kind of palpitating, and felt a little bit nauseous. And I think this is a common reaction for people that have fragrance sensitivities, and I do. I'm the type of person that if I get into an elevator with somebody with a strong perfume, I will get a headache. So it does make me wonder about the nature of molecules that are created in a lab and inhaling them. It kind of gets a little bit like almost, what's the word for it? Let's just say somebody that's totally like atheist scientist would think I'm crazy, but I just feel like the natural way of things is the right way, I guess. And when you start messing with molecules, maybe our bodies aren't used to it, you know? And I prefer the way nature puts things together. And I would say that too about the natural isolates. I think, you know, the perfumers, I totally respect perfumery, and I think it's amazing what people can do. But personally, I prefer the way nature puts things together than when a person takes a bunch of notes and puts them together. So that's just me kind of being like, I don't know, purist when it comes to fragrance. And I'm not right. Nobody's right. Nobody's wrong. It's just a matter of taste, and a matter of philosophies on life. So, you know, and there's a couple other things like, you know, you can get all these different isolates, but you can't actually rebuild lavender. You can't isolate every single chemical in lavender and recreate lavender. And there's no way of isolating certain things. I mean, lavender has at least 40, I don't know how many chemicals, probably 50 when you get into trace chemicals for like more than 100. And they can only isolate certain chemicals from lavender. So, you know, there's a limitation to what you can actually produce. But nature has given us all of these amazing molecules and chemicals, and you know, that's why I prefer it. And I find it's very nuanced. And I love the idea that perfume is kind of like wine, where it's going to change from year to year. You know, you're not always going to get that same lavender that happened last year, because, you know, there's different things that affect it. The season, when it was harvested, nothing. It always change. It's always changing. It's like wine. Whereas if you're just going to start taking isolates and building them, always the same. And I'm sure that's what the perfume industry loves, is they're going to get a standardized product. It's always the same. And there is totally a place for that. And there are people that absolutely expect that. But I like this wild, natural world of perfume where, you know, you're going to get the same perfume, but maybe a little different. Maybe you're getting a vanilla from Madagascar, or maybe you're getting a vanilla from Reunion Island, or, you know, things will vary. And that's what I like about it. It's wild. I also, you know, there's this weird conversation happening, and I'm not really understanding it. But some people are saying that the synthetics maybe are more sustainable than natural. And I really have a hard time understanding how monoculture or petrochemicals are more sustainable than buying fragrance plants from all over the world. It's going to take a lot to convince me that that's the right way to go. I don't think petroleum's sustainable, and I don't know why people think that. I mean, I understand we've got some issues with some of the woods, the rosewood, sandalwood, but mostly, you know, there's a lot of room for these beautiful, natural, aromatic plants to be produced, to grow. The potential for these industries is really exciting. I would rather a community be able to grow vanilla and sell it on the market for a fair price than for more oil to get drilled out of the ground. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, it makes sense to me. And there's so many different regions that can be affected by this. And I did go into that last video. So I don't want to be preachy by saying all this, but it's just my philosophy about things and why I want to create natural perfume. And I want to do a really great job, and I want to make my perfume really interesting, and I have some really good ideas. So We'll see what happens. Anyway, tomorrow I'm going to the lavender field, and I will do a video from the lavender field, hopefully, if it all works out. And very excited about that. So thanks for watching again.